when President Barack Obama announced he's going to propose and try to make 2 years of community college free, I heard comments from people who opposed the idea by saying things like, "I don't understand the word free, nothing is free," and other variations of that same thought. I've read a lot of blogs and news articles that view this thing from different angles. Of course, there's the moral factor of just helping out everyday people. There's the factor of just education, investing in education, because why wouldn't you? You know, make the workforce stronger. Every worker will be smarter, more qualified. And come on, don't you want to live in a world where everybody's educated? I mean, I do. You know, especially since I think of myself as a genius in a world full of idiots, and I know you think the same way too. I've seen comparisons to other countries and how much they invested in education and their success stories, but I'm not going to cover any of that. That's already been talked about. See, policies have to be practical, and so I think I'm going to go more in that direction. So here's the tax bracket for 2015.
Now, I'm no expert at taxes. This is the first time I've even seen a tax bracket. And I know taxes are complicated and they have a lot of variables to work with and all that, but I'm just trying to capture a simple overall idea of what I think is going on here with this proposal. Now, I've heard some sources say the yearly cost for community college tuition is as low as $4,000. I've heard some as high as $8,000. So let's just work with the comfortable, easy to use number, $6,000. Alright, I'm going to reach into my inner child and I'm going to create an imaginary person. Yeah, alright. This person has no degree and makes $20,000 a year of taxable income. So this person has to pay $1,845 and 15% of whatever's over $18,450. So we're going to have to do some math. And I know it's going to bore you, but luckily for me, one of my favorite hobbies is making people bored. So let's do this, yeah. How much you have left over when you take away $18,450? $1,550. That's how much you're gonna have to multiply and try to get find out what's 15%. 15% of that is $232.50. So add that to the $1,845 you're gonna have to pay anyway, and it totals $2,077.50. Now multiply that by 10, because 10 is an easy number to work with for 10 years. What are you serious for 10 years? No, $20,775. That's how much you're gonna pay over 10 years if everything stays the same and a bunch of factors don't change. And I know it's a rough estimate, but just getting the point across. After 10 years, you're paying about $20,000 back. So, all right, let's see how much you do after you graduate, and let's say you double your money and start making $40,000. And why I'm choosing such a low number for a college graduate is because there's a large margin of error, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get the big picture here and show you. So let's say $40,000, and now you moved up the tax bracket, and and you're married, filing jointly because you pay less taxes. So it even adds more cushion for that margin of error. So $40,000. Let's work with that. How much do you have over $37,350? $2,650. Multiply that, get a quarter of it. And you have $662.50. Add that to the $5,156 you're gonna have to pay anyway, and you get $5,818. Multiply that by 10 to get how much you'll pay back after 10 years. $58,187.50. And there's a big margin of error. I know I could have messed up at a lot of places, of course, because I'm not a tax expert or anything. Take off $10,000 if you want. You'll still see my point. Also, take away the $12,000 it would cost, because we agreed on $6,000 per year for community college. So if $12,000 was given to you for that college, you still would pay back more than you would if you didn't graduate and got a less paying job. And that's kind of the point I'm making. I'm asking you not to see this as a handout, but as an investment, and they'll pay back in taxes more than they were given. So, but of course, is this the best way to take care of this education problem? Bringing down the cost, getting people more educated, and what are the solutions are there? What are the problems? So let's get to that.
I read an NPR article where they spoke to 2 community college students who had some doubts about the proposal. One of them mentioned she already has her tuition covered. She has it covered from Pell Grants. Community college students are more likely to qualify for Pell Grants than four-year college students. They tend to be more financially independent and have lower incomes at the same time, and that's the problem. They have financial concerns like transportation, rent, and food. Of course, they still have to pay for their books, so they have more to pay for on their own. So tuition really isn't the problem. A Columbia University professor mentioned that the money saved from the Pell Grant would be spent on their other expenses, but will students still get as big a grant if tuition is automatically paid for? That's my question. This professor also thinks that this will get more people to register, but not necessarily finish school. He suggests increasing completion rates by simplifying degree paths and making more credits transferable to four-year schools. The Washington Post posted, of course, an article giving their suggestion and what we should do, after graduation, the problems these students face, such as racial inequality. Valerie Strauss types, let's make an even greater investment in the Pell Grant program. We should provide low-income students with better access to both community colleges and nonprofit four-year institutions. And let's eradicate labor market inequalities that reward white high school dropouts with greater access to jobs than black graduates with a community college degree. The president's free community college tuition plan is also troublesome at the rhetorical and philosophical levels. His assertion in Knoxville that a college degree is the surest ticket to the middle class and the key to getting a good job that pays a good income does not match the reality for millions of Americans. Now, I know from Obama's opponents that we're going to start hearing extreme this, extreme that, extreme ideology, extreme socialism, extreme, anti-Americanism, if that's a thing. I know they're just really using the straw man argument by taking his proposals, his ideas, and just taking them to the extreme just to make them easier to rally against. And I gotta say, in November it did work pretty well for them, so I'll give them that. But my question is, what do you call it when you expect more back than what you put in? An investment. And I don't think the president, I don't think anybody who supports this expects the country to get worse from this. I think, they genuinely believe they're going to get more back than what they put in. And so that's how the way they're thinking of it. I mean, you help out a poor person now, he or she pays back much more than what you gave them in taxes, and they're going to help the next person, and that person helps the next person. And I think that's what the big picture here is. So don't think government spending makes money just disappear into the ether. It circulates, and sometimes you get more back than what you put in. That's the big picture I see. And I understand there's a lot of reasons you don't want to take part in this. Is two-year college really the best idea to fix the education problem? I mean, I know at the same time, free elementary, free middle school, free high school, is 2 years after that really that much more? But at the same time, is that really the best way? Because is that where the problem is? I don't think so. I think there's better ways, but we'll have to think about that. So don't shut down any discussions. Don't shut down any arguments with nothing is free. That's such a cop-out. Discuss it. I want to hear your ideas, your suggestions. I'm just one guy. You're a mob. The mob always beats the normal guy in these debates. Comments. Go for it. And if you don't want to invest in education, I understand. There's a lot of reasons, a lot of doubts, a lot of skepticism, and you should be. It's a big idea to just jump into. Unless you just don't want to invest in education because you hate poor people, I understand that too. I hate poor people too. There's this homeless guy on 10th and Expressway. I busted out a $5 bill, and he was like, "Oh, thank you, young man. Thank you this, thank you that." And then I asked, "Do you have change for a 5?" And oh man, the disappointed look on his face was hilarious, man. Oh man, so I'm on your side too.